When I bring up that Kamala Harris has been endorsed by and is embracing Liz Cheney, her dad Dick Cheney, and the neoconservatives in general, Democrats say, well, it's just because they both agree on protecting democracy. It has nothing to do with adopting neoconservative foreign policy. Here's Tim Walz using that line.
I think Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney give permission to those folks who want to find a reason to do the right thing. It doesn't mean they agree with us. We're not going to take their foreign policy decisions and discussions, and implement those. We're going to take their
promise?
Yes, promise.
This is, of course, bull. Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney are with Kamala Harris precisely because she shares their neoconservative foreign policy. They have the same foreign policy. There's no difference. It's really the only thing neoconservatives ever care about. Who is the most pro-war candidate? And Kamala Harris, by far, is the neoconservative candidate. Just ask Liz Cheney.
She and I certainly have had our disagreements. But when you look at the whole range of issues, for example, with respect to support for Ukraine, with respect to the fact that, she is saying that the United States has to lead in the world, Donald Trump is embracing tyrants. Donald Trump loves tyrants. He idolizes them. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump both support a very isolationist foreign policy.
Just ask Kamala Harris.
Isolationism, which is exactly what Donald Trump is pushing. Pull out of NATO, abandon our friends. Isolationism is not insulation. So I say that to emphasize a point that the Congresswoman made.
The anti-war or America First position is that we shouldn't be the policemen of the world. America shouldn't be sending soldiers around the world, that Europe should probably pay for its own defense for a change, and that we should talk to our enemies. That's also key. But what's the neocon outlook on foreign policy? Let's ask Liz Cheney again.
And on national security policy, he's completely abandoned the notion that America has to lead the world, and he's invited Putin to invade our NATO allies.
Now let's ask Kamala Harris.
Trump, on the other hand, threatened to abandon NATO. He encouraged Putin to invade our allies.
And to hammer the point home, let's ask Liz Cheney again.
When it comes to fundamental alliances, when it comes to the importance of NATO, for example, and how important it is for the United States to lead in the world, we've seen a sea change. We now have a Republican Party that is embracing isolationism, that is embracing Putin.
What Liz Cheney just said is pure neoconservatism, the same foreign policy philosophy she inherited from her father.
Isolationism, which is exactly what Donald Trump is pushing, abandon our friends. Isolationism is not insulation. It is not insulation. It will not insulate us.
Notice that both Cheney and Harris keep warning about isolationism. Let's be clear about what they mean by that. That means, to them, not wanting to invade Iraq, not wanting the Iraq war. It means not wanting to bomb Iran. It means not sending troops to Syria in 2014. It means not policing the world again. Isolationism is basically a cuss word that neoconservatives have long used to slander anyone who questions American foreign policy.
Isolationism. Isolationist. There's an isolationist tendency. Isolationist.
The isolationists.
Hitler to come to power with that kind of attitude of isolationism and appeasement.
And now, no surprise, Kamala Harris uses it too.
Isolationism, which is exactly what Donald Trump is pushing.
If you're a Democrat, you can welcome the support of Liz Cheney. That's your prerogative. But you cannot pretend that Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris have a different foreign policy. How do we know this? Because they keep telling us over.
She is saying that the United States has to lead in the world.
And over.
Isolationism, which is exactly what Donald Trump is pushing.
We now have a Republican Party that is embracing isolationism.
And over again.
I actually have the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.